G'day, I'm Mick the Camp Oven Cook, and welcome to my Camp Oven Cooking Podcast, where we talk all things camp oven cooking with special guests. So, let's welcome today's guest, the man behind the Australian bushman, Jamie Hazelden. G'day, Jamie. How are you?
I'm good, Mick, and yourself?
Doing well. Just wanted to let everyone know that I'm doing this recording at Jamie's place on the Sunshine Coast. I bet you love coming here because it looks fantastic.
Mate, you couldn't get a better atmosphere, a better place to come because, we've got all of it in one place.
Looks good to me. I wish I could stay here a bit longer. Now, Jamie, can people just come here?
No, I've kept this as a private bush camp. It's Bushman's Retreat, we call it, and it's for an invite only. So I only have who I want here, and that's what keeps it as pristine as what it is.
So, for those who don't know who you are, can you give me a little bit of information about yourself?
I can. Where do you want me to start, though? Crikey. So people know me for 12 volt. I've been building four-wheel drives and campers and all that sort of stuff for many, many years. But I started off, I think it was about 2010, 2011, in videos and whatnot on four-wheel drive action. And then we've progressed through the years, and I've gone into a TV show called the Off-Road Adventure Show, and that's what I film now. I think we're up to 6 or 7 years doing that.
Yeah, that's it's a good show, that one.
Oh yeah, we sort of cover all the bases, you know. Of course, we're doing a little bit of bush cooking these days, and all the other bits and pieces.
So how long have you been working in this industry?
So if we talk on the 12 volt side of things, it's been 20 years. And if we talk on the adventures of love and life and traveling the countryside,
All your life?
all my life. That's
Awesome.
it.
Yeah.
Love it.
No, it sounds like you do love it too. So, what's your best place you've travelled to during filming?
Oh, crikey. Well, I mean, there's so many because you sort of pretty well get one in every place you go. But if I was going to go for just the atmosphere of just sitting back, kicking back, I'm going to say the Simpson Desert.
Yeah.
I just love the night skies. I love the sunsets and the morning as that sun comes up over the dunes. It looks absolutely
And I bet there'd be lots of stars.
Oh, the stars. Only place to see the stars in the country, in the desert.
Yeah. No, I've never been there yet. What sort of camp cooking do you do, Jamie?
Oh, look, I love to cook up a bit of grub any way I can, whether it's on a shovel or in a camp oven or on a hot plate.
On a shovel?
On a shovel. Done that too.
Hope it was clean.
Well, it was once we burnt it for a while.
Do you do much camp oven cooking?
Well, I don't know what we call a lot because, we cook up on a camp oven probably at least once every week or every second week.
That's a lot.
It is a lot, yeah.
Yeah,
so.
most people would do it like only when they're camping or that. They don't do it a lot at home.
Yep.
It's something that, I want to encourage more of.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's the only atmosphere to have. We come up here for our Sunday afternoon roast and cook it on the campfire. So
Yeah.
It works a treat.
And you've got a really good setup here to do that, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's why we built the place to what it is.
Yeah. So, Jamie, how many camp ovens do you own?
Well, I honestly don't know. I think, look, I'm going to say at least 20.
Would you see yourself as a collector or just having them?
Oh, look, yeah, I'm a collector, but I'm not a collector and sit it on the shelf. I'm a collector in, we've got them all shapes and sizes for all different reasons. And when we have a cook up and a camp out and I have a heap of mates and friends over, well, we just bring out all the camp ovens and use them.
Yeah, awesome. That's the best way. So, can you remember back to the first time you cooked in a camp oven? Do you remember what that was?
To be really honest, I'm going to say no, I can't. But I would imagine it would have been an epic fail because I reckon when I started in a camp oven, it wasn't because I knew somebody else doing it. I reckon it was because I bought one and tried to use it.
Yeah, and that's where everyone starts. They get out there, they shovel it full of coals, and next thing you know, 10 minutes later, they're burning it because they haven't figured out heat control yet or how how much coals to put on top
Absolutely.
or on the bottom, or where to put the coals. And I've seen people put the camp oven inside of the fire, thinking that then that's where they needed to put it.
Yep.
You know,
yep,
so
definitely.
so it's something that starting out is tricky.
Mm-hmm. For
know?
sure.
But
Absolutely.
it's something you learn after a while when you keep doing it over and over again.
Yep.
What's your go-to food to cook in the camp oven? What's your signature dish that you always have to cook?
Look, there's a few, but I reckon the most common one would have to be the simple lamb roast.
Yeah, and tell me a bit about that. Like, what do you put on your lamb?
So what I would do with that is I'll put it on the board and I'll just rub it all in with a olive oil.
Yep.
I'll pluck some cuts into it so I can put
Bit of garlic and rosemary.
all that sort of stuff. And that was just funny because there was a clip we done on a TV show where I couldn't remember what garlic was. I mean, I couldn't remember the name garlic. And we've got outtakes and all sorts of things. And it just happened just then. I forgot garlic again. But anyway, so I'll put that all into it and drop it into the camp oven. I'll add a beer with it and a bit of water. And drop it in there. Warm up the camp oven first and then drop it in, put it in some coals top and bottom. And then let that go for about half an hour, 3/4 an hour. It just depends on what wood I'm using at the time. And then I'll add the veggies to it. And generally, hour and a half, we're done. Good
That's nice and simple, and I bet it was tasty.
Oh, beautiful.
So tell me, have you ever had any fails in camp oven cooking?
I haven't really had fails. There's the times when it's you can't get the fire going.
Yeah.
And
we had that trouble last night when we were cooking our roast Silverside. But we got there, didn't we?
Oh, we did it, and it was a great thing that you thought of when it pelted down is put some tin over the fire to hold that heat back in, and so it didn't all get washed out and wet.
Yep. No, it worked really well. What's your preferred heat method? Coals, heat beads, or even gas? What would you go for?
I'm always hardwood. you
Yeah.
know, and it depends on what we're cooking and where we're cooking, but it's always great to get an old grey dead bit of wood.
Yeah.
And cook that up because that makes just ultimate coals really quick.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So have you ever had an experience with using heat beads or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, we've used heat beads. Another mate of mine, Borgie, he uses heat beads a lot.
Yeah.
And it could be because he's in New South Wales, it's pretty cold and wet down there. So
Yeah, you can never find the right wood, eh?
Yeah. So, but we've had to go with the heat beads and all that sort of stuff when needed too.
Yeah, that's great. Do you have any tips for others out there that are managing heat?
I think the most important part with managing some heat is, just be mindful of what wood you're burning, because if it's green, it's going to take you a while to get things happening.
Yeah.
And it runs really cold. So, and if it's really old wood, well, it burns through and gets pretty hot and holds it there, especially the red hardwoods and stuff like that.
Yeah. So my recommendation for heat control is always starting off with less and then giving it 10 minutes and then you would check it.
Mm-hmm.
And then see how hot it is. And if you don't think it's hot enough, you can add a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go all out and just layer it with coals, come back in 10 minutes and you already got charcoal on top. And then you can't get rid of that. So if you start off with less and then build up to the temperature and then just maintain that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
No, I couldn't agree anymore. That's spot on.
How would you clean your camp oven to make sure it's clean afterwards?
Well, I've heard a lot of little stories about different ways of doing it, but I mean, honestly, my only way I do it, because again, I use it regularly. I'm not just a weekend warrior to do it here and there. I do it a lot. So we'll cook up our feed, eat our feed, and I'll always just put a little bit of water in the bottom of it, a spot of oil, and just put it back on the fire. Let it get to a little bit of a boil.
Yep.
And then just bring it back off, not boiling or anything like that, just warm. And then I'll give it a wipe out with a paper towel.
Yep.
Put the paper towel back in the fire and burn it. And then I'll do that process once more, and that just completely cleans it all out. And she's sealed up. I just splash some oil around, wipe it out with a paper towel, and we're done.
Perfect. Sounds pretty easy. Now, I'm looking at that big beast over there. So, I wonder, how do you store your camp ovens in there so it doesn't rattle around and they get broken?
So, when I'm on the travel, I generally only carry 2 camp ovens with me.
Yep.
2 different sizes. For whether we're doing meat and vegetables or all in one go at the time.
Yeah, a bit of stew or something.
Yeah, but I actually I have a Hessian sack on the bottom.
Yep.
A Hessian sack between the lid and the pan itself.
Yep.
And then I just have it packed in with everything else, with gloves and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. All right.
That works for me. And
yeah, well, for me myself, I just use a camp oven bag, and I use a strap, and just strap it up so that the lid and the base stay together.
Yeah.
And then just zip the bag up, and away it'll go. And that way, it's not rattling around the lid.
That's perfect. Perfect way to do it.
Tell me, have you had any meals on the road cooked by anybody famous?
Yeah, I've had plenty.
And how'd they go?
Oh no, they've been great.
Have you got any tragic fails of a story you got to tell?
Well, I had a tragic fail myself. So a mate of mine, he called me up to his place. He said, look, I went up there to actually pull an old house down, this one that's hit next to us.
Yeah.
Anyway, he said, well, I'll tell you what, you come up, there's a heap of us here, and you cook us tea for the night. I'll supply everything, you cook it up. I said, yeah, no worries. Anyway, so I go up there and I prepare it all, I cook it all up for him. And then he had, I can't remember what it was, but whatever it was like this, to pull the camp oven out of the coals, and I dropped the whole lot on the ground. The whole lot went over the ground, but they were a good bunch of fellas. They said, that's all right, we'll just wash it off. It'll only be a little crunchy.
Some people love a bit of ash for flavour in their camp oven.
True, and they do it. When you're a beginner at camp oven cooking, that's a common one, that's for sure.
Yeah. Do you have a bucket list of a food that you really want to cook in a camp oven?
I haven't really. My daughter does a lot of like pastry, breads and stuff like that. And she's only young, but she loves cooking with a camp oven on that sort of stuff. And I have never got into the cakes and stuff myself. And look, I keep saying, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it. But I just don't, because I'm always just cooking the main meal all the time. So that would be something I would like to do, is just cook some pastries and stuff. Yeah,
because like when I first started camp oven cooking, and I did an interview with That's Life magazine, and just over the phone, the guy asked me all these questions to do this written article on me and Nick when we first started Cast Iron Boys, and said to me, you know, have you ever cooked camel in a camp oven? And I'm like, no, but something I wanted to try. And then the first line of the article was, Mick loves cooking camel stew in the camp oven, and so I've always wanted to do a bit of camel stew because apparently I do it.
That's gold.
You know, so that's a rider for you.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Jamie, we're sitting here, you got the kettle boiling on this really awesome apparatus. Can you tell me a bit more about it?
Oh, that's the Aussie Campfire kitchen gear. Now, I have got a story on that, actually, and it started many, many years ago. But that gear is just dynamite. Lasts forever. I've got it on a lot of my little camp areas because it just works a treat. But I'll tell you a little story. It was about 2010 or 11, and I was out at Lorella Springs, and this fella comes over to the fire pit that we're sitting around, and he knocks in his pole, puts on his fry pan and grill, the grilling part and the fry pan on it. You got to check these things out, you know. But he knocks it into the ground, and then he starts cooking up his food over the fire. Anyway, all I could say is, wow, how good is this? And I said to him, where did you get that from? And he said, oh, I just knocked it up myself and made it. Anyway, the funny thing is, I said to him then, look, if you ever make them up, I really want to get hold of that. And a couple of years later, they popped up making and selling an Australian-made product from up in Wonga Beach. They're up in far north Queensland, and they send it all over Australia. And they're a little Aussie family that are all make it in-house and send it around the country, and it is great stuff.
Yeah, I've often seen them around online, but I hadn't seen one in person yet. They do look like a great bit of kit.
Oh, yeah, and they're making different stuff from all the time. Like I've got their fry pans now.
Yeah.
And they make the fry pans, like they make a really big one. I couldn't tell you sizes. but they make a small one, and we're always cooking up with them, and they're really good.
Yeah, awesome.
And you'll always see me with a camp oven on top of one of them cooking up. So.
Get that bit of residual heat.
Yeah, yep.
Especially good when you're doing stews.
Yep, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Jamie, do you have any questions for me?
Questions for you? Well, look, honestly, you cover a lot of stuff, and I've followed you for many years on all your cooking and different things. But I do, I never get to see, as much as I travel around a lot and I go to a lot of places, I never get to see too many secondhand old ovens.
Yep.
And these ones you've bought here and you're cooking up with are just awesome. I love them. Now, I've got a lot of older ones, but I've got a lot of cheap Chinese ones, but they're all doing the same trick.
Yeah.
But I'd really like to get my hands on some of the old ones.
Yep. So a lot of people out there are trying to get those, and which has driven the price up on them pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But you just need to keep an eye out on like places like Gumtree, eBay, local marketplaces like Facebook, and even put a call out yourself saying wanted camp ovens on Gumtree.
Yeah, right.
A lot of people do that, and then someone might see that and go, "Hey, Jamie, I've got an oven for you."
Yeah.
You know, and hopefully one day you can get a nice old vintage girl like my Etna or my other Australian-made ones, because it would really suit being here in this environment you've created.
Oh, for sure.
It look like it's home, especially with this really old house, the way you've got it decorated. Now we're up to the recipe part of the segment. Last night, Jamie, we cooked up a baked Silverside. You told me you've never had that before. So what did you think of it?
No, Mick, I have never had a baked Silverside before because, traditionally it's boil it up. You know, that's how it's done.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I'll be trying that recipe and I'll be doing that again because that was absolutely beautiful.
Make sure you invite me because I want to see how you get on with it.
I will.
And don't bring the rain this time. Just to let everyone know at home listening how easy it was to make this baked Silverside. Basically, all you do is get your brown sugar, rub it all over your meat, let that sit for a couple of hours. Then in your camp oven, place your trivet, some brown vinegar, some water, and you mix herbs and your cloves. Stick your meat in there, put your lid on, get it hot. And basically what's happening is you've got the bottom is simmering away and creating some steam from the liquid, and then you've got your top on top baking it. And just let that go for a couple of hours. And Bob's your uncle, and it comes out pretty good, eh?
Absolutely superb.
For the full recipe, make sure you check out the link on my website for this podcast. We'll have the full description on the recipe and how to cook it. Jamie, you've told me a lot about the things you've been doing. Have you got any wish lists that you want to do in the future?
Well, the future holds quite a few things. This year, 2021, I will be actually putting my TV show on TV, which is something I've talked about for many years. I just haven't been able to do it because I've been tied up working in the shop with the 12-volt side of things. But I'm actually going to be putting that on air. Yep. So keep an eye out for that. That'll be happening this year.
And that's for the Australian Bushman?
That's for the Australian Bushman, yeah.
Yep, awesome.
So that's where I'm going to go out and go around the countryside and meet and greet a lot of real Aussie bush men and women, Indigenous and white fellas, and tell a story.
That sounds great. And anything else? Yeah,
so, and at the same time, I've just got my approvals through from National Parks and HQ Plantation to create a tag-along throughout the bush here, and it'll be about a 3-day tag-along where they come camping with me, we tell stories around the fire, we have cook-ups, and I can't wait to get that happening, which is coming real soon.
Make sure you invite me for your first one.
No worries.
I'd love to do a bit of Silverside for your guests.
Yeah, we can do it.
If you want to learn more about Jamie and what he's up to, just check out the Australian Bushman. You can find his website, YouTube, Instagram. Where else do you play?
Well, I'm on Channel 10 with the Off-Road Adventure Show.
Yep.
And soon to be on another channel, the Australian Bushman.
Awesome. So make sure you keep an eye out for Jamie. Well, thanks for letting me do this, Jamie. Bringing the young fella up, camping out here, showing me your back tracks up the back, and cooking up a great feed for dinner. Really appreciate it.
No problem at all. Anytime. No, we can make that happen again.
Awesome. And I think it's great for the people listening to hear how different it is for camp oven cooking and gives them a great insight to say that you're not doing it wrong. Just have a go and figure out what works for you.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. And that's a wrap for the first ever Camp Oven Cooking podcast. Just remember that something so simple as a cast iron pot can be so complicated. So no matter how you enjoy camp oven cooking, please respect and encourage others to enjoy camp oven cooking how they please. For today's recipe and many more, you can check out the campovencook.com.au. And you can also search The Camp Oven Cook on Facebook and Instagram to follow me. Anyway, guys, happy cooking and see you next episode. I'm Mick, the Camp Oven Cook.